in the royal palaces of medieval Europe, crowns sparkled in the sunlight. Wars created kingdoms, and rich nobles lived their glorious lives on earth. But heaven sees things differently. There, every person, whether king or servant, is equal under God's judgment. In the country of Portugal, there lived a queen whose holiness would break through the wall between life and death. A queen who would one day hear her daughter's voice crying out, not from a palace, but from the fires of Purgatory. This is the true story of Saint Isabel of Portugal, the queen who saw her daughter begging for help from beyond the grave. Isabel's life started far away from Portugal, in Zaragoza, on January 4th, 1271. She was a princess of Aragon, daughter of King Peter III and Queen Constance of Sicily. But even as a child, her life pointed toward God. She was named after her great aunt, Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, another royal woman who made her crown holy through kindness and giving up things for others. Unlike most children of her high rank, Isabel did not care about fancy things. While other young nobles loved jewels and parties, she liked silence, prayer, and helping others. She visited poor people. She fed hungry people. She learned early that the greatest royalty is being humble before God. Her spiritual training would prepare her for a job she could never have imagined. At just 12 years old, Isabel entered a marriage that would test both her patience and her faith. She was given in marriage to King Denis of Portugal, a smart ruler, but a man hurt by sin. The marriage brought kingdoms together politically, but spiritually, Isabel found herself alone. King Denis was unfaithful. He looked for pleasures outside of marriage, and everyone at court knew it. The gossip, the shame, the secret children, all felt like knives stabbing the queen's heart. The world expects anger when someone is betrayed, but Isabel responded with something far more difficult. Love. Not love as a feeling, but love as giving up things for others. While others would ask, "What about me?" Isabel asked, "What about my husband's soul?" She did not try to protect her pride. She tried to save his eternity. Night after night, she prayed for King Denis. She gave up comforts for his change of heart. She never publicly shamed him, though she had every reason to do so. Instead, she suffered quietly, as Christ suffered for his bride, the Church. Then another burden came, one that threatened the peace of an entire kingdom. Her son, the future King Alfonso IV, angry about his father's scandals, led a rebellion against the king. Portugal shook on the edge of civil war. Anger filled the palace. The young prince thought he was right, but Isabel did not see politics. She saw souls in danger. Instead of adding to her son's anger, she stepped in like a mother of peace. She rode personally between armies, putting her own life between father and son. She begged for peace. She reminded her child that fairness without kindness becomes hatred, because in her heart, the fourth commandment mattered more than royal fights. She saved Portugal from war, and later she went with King Denis on his deathbed, making sure he confessed his sins, felt sorry, and made peace with God. Her prayers won. The king died at peace a sinner forgiven. Isabel had completed her mission as wife and as a saint. After her husband died, she gave even more of herself to poor people. She built hospitals, shelters, and monasteries. She personally cared for the sick, even the lepers others were afraid to touch. She lived as a queen, but even more as a servant of Christ. Yet even the saints faced the deepest human sadness. She and King Denis had a daughter, Constance, who became Queen of Castile. Her death hit Isabel in the very place where love hurts the most, the heart of a mother. No power, no crown, no saintly goodness can protect a mother from the pain of losing a child. The court was sad, but Isabel cried in silence before the crucified Christ. She placed flowers on her daughter's grave. She prayed, she hoped, she trusted. But heaven had more to show. Months after Constance's burial, the royal group was traveling near Santarem. The sun was setting as the group passed through wooded lands. Suddenly, a hermit came out from the trees, shouting desperately for the queen. The guards held him back, worried about danger. But Isabel, used to listening to the voices of poor people, let him speak. His face was pale, his voice shaking. He explained that during his prayers, Constance had appeared to him, not as a queen dressed in glory, but suffering, crying out from the fire of purgatory, begging for her mother's help. Then the message. For an entire year, 365 days, a mass must be offered for her soul. Only then would she be free. The queen's court burst out in laughter. Some made fun of the hermit, calling him crazy. After all, why would God send his message through a man dressed in rags? But the queen did not laugh. Neither did King Denis. It is wiser, he said, to do what is asked, because offering the Holy Mass for the soul of our daughter is an act of faith and of love. So a year of devotion began. Father Fernando Mendes, a holy priest, took upon himself the mission. Day after day, the Mass sacrifice was offered. Isabel prayed with all her heart. But as time kept moving slowly, memory softened. The prophecy faded from her thoughts. Yet heaven forgets nothing. One night, as the queen knelt alone in her room, a sudden light filled the room, bright and not of this world. Isabel looked up, scared, yet filled with peace. There stood Constance, but no flames, no suffering. Her daughter was glowing, dressed in white, shining like the blessed in glory. She spoke one sentence. "Now I will fly to eternal happiness," and disappeared. The queen fell down in tears, tears not of sadness, but of joy. The next morning, Isabel went to the church to give thanks to God. There she was met by Father Mendes, who came to her with amazing news. "My queen, yesterday I completed the final Mass of the 365 you requested." Isabel stood frozen. The moment the last Mass was offered was the exact moment Constance had appeared. The hermit had spoken the truth. The Masses had freed her daughter's soul. A mother's love joined to the sacrifice of Christ had opened the gates of heaven. This miracle shows a truth the Church has always taught. Purgatory is real. Souls suffer there, and they depend on us. Not even royalty escapes God's justice. Not even the daughter of a saint enters heaven without being purified. If Constance cried out for help, if a queen needed masses to reach eternal joy, what about the countless forgotten souls who have no one to pray for them? God, in His mercy, allows our love to save others. Our sacrifices matter. Our prayers bring freedom. Our faith opens heaven's doors. Saint Isabel continued praying and giving up comforts for the dead, especially for King Denis. She joined the monastery of Santa Clara in Coimbra, living a life of humility, charity, and constant prayer for others. Even in old age, she risked her life once more to prevent war, riding out to make peace between her son and grandson. Peace was her lifelong mission. She died on July 4th, 1336, tired from loving God and saving souls. The poor whom she fed, the sick whom she cared for, the prisoners she rescued, the families she brought back together, all were witnesses to a queen who ruled not by force, but by kindness. And at the moment she closed her eyes, heaven surely opened to her. The Queen of Portugal became the Queen's daughter, daughter of the eternal King. Saint Isabel's life teaches us holiness is possible anywhere, in the court, in the home, in suffering, in silence. You do not need a throne to save souls. You need only love. And Constance's voice from Purgatory teaches us death does not end relationships. Love does not stop at the grave. Prayers travel farther than tears. A mass can set someone free. A rosary can comfort. One act of mercy can turn fire into glory. There are souls tonight who wait for us, who whisper our names, who hope that someone, anyone, will remember them. This story is kept safe in Catholic tradition and in the devotional history book by Jacques Lefèvre, The Souls in Purgatory in the Lives of the Saints. Through these stories, the Church reminds us that God sometimes allows the wall to be lifted so that we may take seriously what the world ignores: salvation. Before we end, I want to invite you to a simple act of love. If this story touched your heart, think of one person who needs hope, one person who needs to remember that heaven is real, that mercy is powerful, and that love continues beyond death. Share this video with that person. Let this message become a light for a soul in need. And if you want to continue learning from the saints, the true heroes of our faith, subscribe to this channel and stay with us. There are many journeys ahead, many souls to pray for, many stories heaven wants us to hear. Thank you for listening. May Saint Isabel of Portugal pray for you, for your family, and especially for the souls who await our prayers. Music